The NU tier is in dire need of better defoggers, and to that end, I'm on a crusade to make Talonflame drop out of the RU tier. The RU tier seems to really want to hold on to Talonflame. Talonflame isn't a bad Pokemon in the tier, but it seems, even if that's not true, that they're doing it out of spite more than anything else at this point. So we need to start spamming teams in the RU tier that make Talonflame feel a lot less usable, and then the usage may go down. So I've created a team that should basically make Talonflame really not useful, and we're going to be using it today. It's not a perfect team. I think Weezing or Hippowdon probably should be swapped out for a Spdef tank, but aside from that, it's pretty decent. Looking at my opponent's team, they do have some annoying guys. Just gonna lead off with the Slowbro, because Slowbro is actually not that good into my team. I have Regenerator Mienshao, which doesn't care about that Rocky Helmet. And unless they get the burn right away, then Crawdon does get to come in, which is really nice. Unfortunately, they do get the burn right away. I don't want to lose my Choice Scarf on Mienshao, so we're just going to go into the Weezing here. Yeah, I actually expect them to go into the Rotom, or Jirachi works too. So here I'm going to go for the Earthquake, as they actually go into Rotom now. And I'll go for the Stealth Rock. And we'll just start spamming Whirlwind. Because we want to try to get off as much damage as possible on these guys. Now Crawdon's burned, it's even better as a switch in. Gonna Crab Hammer there. Crab Hammer is a risky play because they could have stayed in. Since I was burned, they definitely, I think, tanked that. As they go for Double Edge on their Cyclizar, which I was not expecting, but that's okay. I'm gonna go Mienshao here. I was just gonna click the U-turn, because once again, that Slowbro coming out does not mean anything to me. And now I think I'm forced to go into Volcanion. Fortunately, my Volk is heavy duty boots, so we don't care too much about the rocks. And we'll just go for Body Press. That gets rid of Cyclizar, so that means if I get the rocks back up, they will be here to stay. I'm gonna go into Hippowdon. We have not seen if this Jirachi is physical or special, but oh, it looks like they're special. Okay, just gonna Whirlwind them out. Now we'll get up rocks. My Hippowdon doesn't really do anything at this point. I don't need it. I have the Weezing for the Zapdos. And so now we're gonna go Volcanion again, and we'll put Steam Eruption. I don't really want to get burned. That was an insane play on my opponent's part. I just went for Steam Eruption, you know? But, whatever. I'm actually in a really bad position right now. I want to keep my Lycanroc, I think. So I'm gonna have to sack this. As they I missed the Steam Eruption, which really sucks. So I have to go Weezing now. And on this set, we are Levitate Weezing. Oh, there we go, get a bit of justice. And I'm actually going to switch now into my Lycanroc, predicting them to go into Rotom, as they do not. Which is sort of a crazy play, but they actually sacked the Rotom there, so that's fine. I'm just trying to get off as much damage as possible on this, if that makes sense. Not click U-turn here, because that does get rid of the Slowbro if they stay in. I don't want them going Jirachi. And now on this point, I'm curious who beats whom. It looks like they just Cyanoized. If I Registeel there, I wonder if I would have won. Okay, so we lose game 1. I definitely should have just Steam Erupted again on the Slowbro. That would have KO'd the Rotom Heat. And a special Rachi actually was sort of annoying into my team because, like I said, one of the Hippowdon or Weezing probably should be a special tank. And if I had a special tank to absorb Scalds from Slowbro and Gengar and Noivern, some other Pokemon that are pretty annoying, and opposing Volcanion, then this team definitely would be better. Okay, now we're facing Mono Fairy, which means that my Weezing should do quite well, my Volcanion should do quite well, and my Crawdaunt should not do very well. I kinda want to lead off with my Lycanroc here, because I should be able to just two-shot the Ribombee. As they actually go into Mimikyu as a lead, which is fine by me. I don't care about that at all. I don't have neutralizing gas or anything, but I have Rocky Helmet. They don't really do too much damage to me. I don't really care. And Volcanion is actually usually a pretty good pivot into Weezing. However, because this is a Mono Fairy team, they actually may have the Sludge Bomb. Flamethrower also makes a lot of sense because they're going to be weak to Steel types, right? So this may be a Wisher, which is annoying. I'm sort of curious as to what they would be. Yeah, I figured I could just Wish. That's fine. I'm just going to go to Hippowdon to just take whatever they want to do. I'm just gonna throw off an Earthquake. They want to get up their own rocks. I'll actually take rocks on my side of the field too. Now I'm gonna start spamming Whirlwind, as it looks like they get in their B, which is annoying. The Whirlwind out again. Because I didn't want them to Quiver Dance. I don't know what this guy wants to do with his team, but it could be an issue if we let them Quiver Dance up. Protect there was an interesting play on my opponent's part because it doesn't really get you anything. Because Whirlwind goes through Protect. That isn't a concern. So let's see, Weezing is out. They may go for... No, they go for Strange Team, okay. Well, I don't care about that. Now, if I had Sludge Bomb on my Volcanion, then I would be able to beat down the Screamtail, but that's not really a thing that you run normally. That's an unfortunate miss. That's the second Steam Eruption miss of the live. As Serendipity comes out, they get burned. I am toxic, so I don't really... Oh my stars. Could you hit your move? Apparently not. We'll go back into Hippowdon. In theory, typing-wise, it beats Serendipity. And I wondered if there'd be some weird physical set. But Beat Up does not make contact, in case you're wondering, in case you are confused. Beat Up does not make contact. U-Turn does, though. And we will take that chip. Thank you very much. They go into Screamtail. I figured they would. They're trying to heal it off. But those Stealth Rock are working against them at this point. They get the Confusion. There's not one thing, it's another. But the Volcanion decided that into a Mono Fairy team, it was too easy to bring a Fire type. so it's just not going to show up to work today. Having a Wish Passer on this team would be sort of nice. So maybe even a Screamtail of my own as a Spdef tank would be okay. It would help against the Noivern, and it would maybe help against Volcanion to a point. Because, like I said, I don't think they run Sludge Bomb usually. But at the same time, yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. Let's see. Let's go into Dog. This Dog can just click Accelerock. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah. So the problem with Screamtail is that, you know, it's going to lose to things like Gengar. Unless you run Psychic Noise over Dazzling Gleam, and then they have to not be Choice Scarfed, and then even then you probably don't kill. We're going to go Hippowdon here. I don't want to get Prankster Thunderwaved. And I can Whirlwind on their bulk up. Unless they have Taunt. Which would be annoying. And now we just get to Earthquake. That KOs the Screamtail. And so yeah. Slowly but surely, despite our Volcanian's best efforts to throw, we beat the Mono Fairy. This is a annoying team. Very interesting on my opponent's part. They have a Chestnut plus a Vileplume, which is actually extremely problematic into my team, where I have mostly physical attackers. Now I do have Weezing, but Weezing's not doing much to break Vileplume. It does really help against Chestnut though. I want to lead off with Crawdaunt here, just because I can get off a strong hit on something. Unfortunately, they could go for Spectric or Meteor here, and that would be unfortunate. But if they let off with something like Mienshao, or even with Crook, I could have gone into Weezing, and then they would have taken the Rocky Helmet chip. And I usually like to do something like that, lead off with something like Crawdaunt, and then go into a Rocky Helmet Mon on a Pivot Scarfer. Fortunately, my opponent made the worst play possible, which was not attack me. But we will take that. Alright, so they go into the Chestnut, which is an interesting play. So now they are burned, I'm going to go into my Hippowdon here, and I'm just going to Whirlwind them out. Go for Woodhammer. That does a lot of damage. Not enough to KO. So it looks like my opponent's just full setup, which I refuse to respect. Go Chestnut here. I'm going to go for the Strange Steam. Here we'll go into Hippowdon. Hippowdon's not doing too much at this point in the game. It's too weak to take on Lightning Rock Dusk, or so I would have thought. But they went hard into Lightning Rock Dusk. What is my opponent doing? I don't understand. They go for Ice Spinner just so they can take more chip. I like that. If they are choice, that'd be good for me. My Crawdaunt's not doing a dang thing otherwise. So they are not choice, but instead of going for the super effective fighting type move, they decided to go for the U-turn, which, you know, to be fair, is super effective as well, but not nearly as useful. At this point, I do not need my Crawdaunt, so I'm just going to sack it, because it is much safer to do so. And then, I'm actually going to go into my Dog. Mienshao is a strong Pokemon in lower tiers, but it's not actually that strong. But what is strong is Terrifying CC from Lycanroc. Because at this point, this actually becomes one of the scariest fighting types in any tier, I would say. It's Tough Claws, Close Combat, Stab, very good. This is what Terrakion wishes it could be. And they can't switch into it with their Mienshao, obviously. And I outspeed both of them because as we've seen, Mienshao isn't in Choice Scarf. So that's game. My opponent now has a Goodra, which is pretty annoying for this team. You never know if it's going to be Heavy Slam or if it's going to be Flash Cannon. So Weezing isn't necessarily a safe way to deal with it. They usually tend to lead off with Fortress when they have it, which is really good for Crawdon. They actually go for body press, which is interesting because that means they don't get up any hazards against my team. To be fair to my opponent, they may not have felt like they needed it. Here we're just gonna go into the the Weezing. I think is okay because I want to save this for the Slowbro, as I will just Will-O-Wisp. But now I don't care what comes out. Burning it is a good thing. And now here I'm going to go into Mienshao hard. If there's Draco Meteor, that's unfortunate, but I figured they just Flash Cannon. Now I'm going to U-turn out because they should always go Slowbro. And this gets me back in Crawdon. And this is where Slowbro becomes a major liability. Because if you bring it in on a pivot, now my Crawdon gets to come back out. Now something else has to take a choice band. Adaptability, stab, knockoff. I mean, adaptability, stab is redundant. Oh, they actually lived that. How nice for them. Well, now my Steam Eruption I think is pretty free because they've lost their water resist. I suppose technically Udra is the water resist now. And in that way, Flamethrower is actually probably stronger. Interesting. Okay. We'll go Weezing here. Now we're just gonna click Strange Steam. And now we go Volcanion on the Flash Cannon. They do Draco Meteor. It's a good play on their part. Good play. Flamethrower actually is better just in case they do go Breloom. If I Earth Power into Breloom, that will be sad. And Flamethrower is stab, so it's not the end of the world. Good play on their part, predicting me. Yeah, they don't have a switch into Flamethrower, so I don't really know if that helps them. Protect on Hudra is interesting because you get to it may actually, let's see. I want to see something here. Volcanion versus Hudra H. Honor, you bulk attacker, something like this is probably correct. And body press, Earth Power does more. Earth Power does 40-something% min, so they may die here. Yeah. So we bait them into staying in. That really frees up my Weezing. If the Slowbro only has Future Sight and Scald, I don't know how we fare into that. Probably not well, but we can make it work. We still have Hippowdon at full health, and we can still Earthquake Slowbro into Flamethrower or something, depending. Again, if I had some kind of tinky Spdef wall, Slowbro wouldn't even be that annoying. Alright. Here, I don't know what I want to sack. What do I want to sack? 350, 350. I'm gonna go into Lycanroc, actually. I don't think I die here. Shadow Ball from Non-Scarf. Then I can go for the Celerock. Just Tough Claws boosted. They go into Slowbro. I guess that makes sense. I'm just gonna throw off a Stone Edge. Because I need damage on it. And now I'm going to go for Stealth Rock. As apparently, I guess they would stay in. They've shown that they have the Gengar, but they do not care. We'll go into Volcanion now. I think Volcanion's a stronger position than going into Mienshao, because I can Flamethrower this, Flamethrower this, Flamethrower this, and Flamethrower this. I don't think anything wants to switch in on that. That's good. At this point, I don't need Volcanion anymore, because it's forced to KO on Slowbro, which is good. So we'll just sack it here. And now we'll go into Mian Shao. I'm gonna U-turn? Because they may predict the knockoff. Actually, like if I want to predict them, I'd have to go for CC, right? And actually force a KO. If I go for U-turn and they stay in, I lose the game. If I go for U-turn and they switch out, I have to go into my Wheezing, which doesn't really take a hit, right? So at this point, the game is pretty much lost unless my opponent chokes, and they don't choke. So, a bit unfortunate there. Once again, Slowbro, pretty annoying to this team if they don't just sack it to Crawdon, right? And there we almost picked up the KO. But it wasn't quite enough. Let's look at the roll on that, by the way. Crawdon versus Slowbro. Just so we know. Okay, and this is Rocky Helmet. Not that it really matters for the calc. Obviously, knock off one-shots if they tear Poison, which is what they were, which is a fine tear. Then the 66% max, and I don't remember what we had. All right, this is going to be a tough game. They have another Gengar. They have 3 Nicholas. But here is another one of those times where we will just go for the Crawdon lead because they can't go Chansey on it. Even knocking off Bisharp is a great thing. And we can just get off like a stupid amount of damage, right? We see here, the Stainless Swampert, they get out sped and they get 2-shot. The best move they could have gone there for was Earthquake, otherwise they had to switch into something like Gyarados or Bisharp, which is bad, and none of their other guys can switch into it. Here we just get to go into the Weezing, and they get the chip from the Rocky Helmet. If they go into the Bisharp, I may want to Terra, just so I can burn them. However, I think I'm going to go into Hippowdon instead. And we will go for the Earthquake. Because what did they switch into this? Gyarados? We've already seen that that doesn't really help. They're just going to be forced to switch out again. Okay. So they clicked knock off. I'm assuming they're choiced in some form or fashion. So since that doesn't do any damage, I'm just going to click Earthquake. Okay. That's fine. We'll go Crawdon here. If they go for Focus Blast, then good on them. If they don't, then they're going to be in trouble as they go for a very passive skirt. We go for the Crab Hammer here because they literally have no switch into Crab Hammer. And at the Terra Fairy, it's also a really good move to go for, as we can see there. Okay. Now I'm going to go. Let's see. We're going to Mian Shao. I'm going to click knock off, as they do go Gengar. Good. I don't know if the Reuniclus is heavy duty boots, or if Magic Guard, or if it's Regenerator. We'll see. Once again, we're going to go Hippowdon here. I could have once again gone into Weezing, but I think this is a better mid ground because it prevents the Bisharp from doing anything. As they may actually want to double again, but instead they're sort of just panic going for the Whirlwind, for the Earthquake. I'm gonna slack off here. As fortunately my opponent does not flinch me. If they Sword Stance here, we will Earthquake. If they flinch, we will be sad. They don't get a single flinch, so my opponent isn't getting any of the luck that might have otherwise made this battle more protracted. but I think we're good. We'll slack off again here. They may go for Thunderous Kick. They go for close combat. That doesn't even kill. So I'm gonna slack off again, because I'd like to get a bit healthier before we make the obvious pivot into Wheezing. And so now we're gonna do just that. We're gonna pivot into Wheezing as they make a good pivot into Chansey, which is smart. I think that the switch there was pretty obvious, but we can safely go back into Hippowdon. And I'm just gonna click the Whirlwind here, because what are they gonna do to me? I guess they'll Seismic Toss, maybe. But now I get to go for the Earthquake. I think, outspeed Rhinoculus. Don't actually know my speed tiers on this. And it looks like they are Magic Guard, not Regenerator, which is good, because that means we left them at that really low HP. And now I'm just gonna Earthquake again. I don't really know the best turn to switch in my Lycanroc. Oh, Healing Wish. Interesting. That makes things a bit more spicy. I'm gonna Whirlwind them out, because I don't want them to Calm Mind up. Go for Side Noise. That's okay. Focus Blast, Side Noise. Okay. I'm gonna go Volcanion here, because I can just throw off Steam Eruptions, which are gonna do a ton of damage. And here we'll just Flamethrower, because it's obviously more accurate, and it's gonna do its job versus both of them. So we make it out alive against the Gengar Rhinoculus guy, despite not having any Spdef answers on my team. I'm gonna just make the... Actually, they should go for a flying move here, right? Yeah, so no point going for Terra Ghost. But that was aided in large part because they made the unnecessary Gengar switch. Okay, now we're facing off against Talonflame, finally. Once again, we're going to lead off with Crawdon. Wonder what you would do here. I'm going to go for Knockoff here, as they go for the burn right away, and they don't get it, and so the Talonflame is gone. So now if you're my opponent, and you kept on facing a bunch of teams like this, you'd say, man, my Talonflame doesn't have any value. And maybe you'd switch out for something else, you know? That's the idea, at least. Okay. I'm gonna click the Wheezing here. They make close combat, or they make Crab Hammer. With the Crab Hammer, good play on their part. I'm gonna go Volcanion now. If they're choiced, then this is good. If they're not choiced, then that's bad. Let's see. Earth Power. They should always go Goodra, I think. Normally Goodra, you think it's gonna lose to ground moves from like Earth Power or whatever, but it doesn't actually take that much, as you see. And so it's usually a decent switch in. I do want to keep this healthy. I think that's a valuable thing to do. I'm gonna go Hippo, and we're gonna tank the Draco Meteor, and then we will just click the Slack Off, I think. Actually, I'm gonna click Stealth Rock, because they've lost their Talonflame. So now we're gonna get Chip on all the guys. And at this point, I don't actually need my Hippowdon, so that's good. Now I can go into the Mienshao and click the U-turn. The reason we're doing that is because if they get to go Hippowdon, then I get to go into my Crawdon, and they have no Crab Hammer switching. A Goodra is not really a Crab Hammer switching, and their own Crawdon will die. And if they Terra Water their Hippowdon, by all means do that, but I don't think that got you any value really. And here I'm gonna go for the Will-O-Wisp, just because getting this burned will be good. And if they go Salamence, which I don't think they would, that would be good, obviously. Burning the Goodra is always good too. As I go Gengar, which is a bit annoying. Actually gonna sack this. Maybe? No, I need to keep this. I'm gonna just sack the Cardon. Would have been nice to have kept would have been nice to have kept, but we cannot. I'm gonna go into my Mian Shao. Unless it's choice specs, I should tank it. And if it is choice specs, I now can go into my dog. And I'm gonna sword stance up because I have a Spdef boost. And I can just go for a Cellar Rock. And then close combat. And we get one more hit off. It's gonna be up to Weezing to deal with the dang Salamence. I'm pretty sure what they're trying to do here is bait out the Cellar Rock and go into Hydra. It was not what they were trying to do. They go for that, which is unfortunate. Pain split up. Ironhead. Alright. My opponent's got an Azelf, which is very scary. They also have a very offensive team, which means my Cradon doesn't do too much. Wonder how much I take from Trailblaze. Probably a lot. We can just go for knockoff though. This is actually probably one of the few lead matchups that was good for me, because we get to get rid of their Cradon, or their Feraligatr right away. And Feraligatr was a little bit annoying, even though I have the Volcanion. It still beats my physical walls. And I'm glad to have gotten rid of it. Here they're just gonna go for the Moxie boost. That's okay. I could go for the Choice Scarf Ice Spinner. I feel like that's so telegraphed though. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather go into my Weezing, which can burn everything. It should go, I think, into Azelf. Would make a lot of sense. But I force out the Salamence, and that's fine. That's the main thing we want. As we do not force out the Salamence, they decide instead that the play is to go for the Dragon Dance with the Terra. Not the smartest play. Then they go for the dual Wing Beat. I'm gonna go into Hippowdon here. I believe Hippowdon is tankier than Weezing, I'm not sure. And I want to save Weezing's health as much as possible. And it doesn't have any direct recovery, so Salamence actually hurts itself in confusion, so I guess I could have stayed in. But they don't really have anything they want to go into, and this is actually probably better positioning against Azelf. Or so I thought. Whirlwind. Okay. I'm gonna go into my Volcanion now. I don't really need it in this game. It's such a weird set. What is going on, man? So it's not mystical power. It's not is it explosion or something? Okay, so it's just lead Volk. They're just not using it in that way. Okay, well, they're probably gonna explode now, or so I would assume. No, they're gonna flamethrower. Knockoff was a stronger move there. But whatever. What do I know? Now they go into Mouse Hold. I'm just gonna click the Steam Eruption. Because like I said, I don't need this guy. Not really doing anything for me. What I do need is the Hippowdon. I'm just gonna click Earthquake. Actually, yeah, Earthquake. So they've already wasted their Terror, right? So at this point, I'm pretty sure it's just GG. I mean, besides the fact that my dog deals with just about everything, it's pretty bad for them. And actually, I'm gonna go. Okay, well, I was gonna go Weezing there because I think it's more important to keep Hippowdon's health. But either way, we're good. All right. My opponent has sort of a cool color combination, and then Udra. I feel like if they had a different guy last that didn't mess up this brown and gray and red color combination. It'll be a lot cooler, but it's fine. Once again, leading off with Crawdon, because they don't have a water switch in, other than Goodra, which is not really a great one. Not Crawdon. And so they just lose the Hippo turn 1, which is fantastic. I would like to keep this around so that the Armourouge can't get out of hand. I think that's pretty important. Armourouge came out. Going for Terra Grass, which means that this is almost certainly not weak armor. I spoke too soon. Well, that's okay. I don't really need my Volcanion. And they are just putting themselves in range of the Solrock. So I'm sacking Volk into this. Like, you're not doing anything to me. And now I just have Lycanroc come out. Look at Solrock. They sack the Hippo turn 1, which is good for me, because now Lycanroc is a lot more free, although they do still have the Weezing. But I think it seems my opponent has understood their mistake there. So I really like Lycanroc in this tier, actually. I think it does a pretty good job. I also really like Crawdon in this tier. I think it does a really good job. Volcanion's pretty okay. And like I said, and have been saying since the beginning, one of these two, Hippo or Weezing, needs to be a Spdef wall. Maybe your own Slowbro with, like, I don't know if Slowbro still gets toxic, but something, right? Something that can come in, take a hit from Goodra, take a hit from Volcanion, take a hit from Gengar, and then switch out. I'm just not sure what that is. But the point of this team was to make Talonflame unviable in the RU tier. And as we saw in the one game, even though I ended up losing it, they threw away the Talonflame right away because it didn't serve any purpose. And we're trying to get rid of Talonflame in the RU tier. So support me in this endeavor. Maybe not with using this team, but with using a team of your own. And let's get Talonflame to drop back down to the NU tier. But that'll be it for me today, and I'll catch you guys next time.